Are good to go.
Thanks, Sarah. Call our meeting to order on January 11th, 2022. It is 7:03. So welcome everyone. Welcome back to the new year. Um, I know you have your agendas and you've had a chance to look at it, so we'll be following through the agenda as per usual. Our second piece of business is our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. We wish to recognize the long history of the Indigenous people of Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land, and may we all live in respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. And at this time, I will turn the meeting over to Sarah for the election of the chair and the vice chair.
All right. So first task this evening is to elect a new chair and a vice chair for this board. I will call for nominations for chair first, followed by nominations for vice chair. I will call for nominations 3 times. If you have somebody that you would like to nominate, please speak up and we will get started. So I will open it now, calling for nominations for chair.
I nominate Terrence.
Okay. And Terrence, will you let your name stand?
Yes.
Okay. And calling for nominations for chair, round 2. And calling for nominations for a chair, third time. Okay. And seeing none, can I get a motion to close nominations for chair?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the
Thanks,
motion.
Leanne. Perfect. And with no vote being required, I would declare Terrence Ritchie as the chairperson for the North Perth Public Library Board for 2022. Can I get a motion to move that?
I move the motion, Bernice.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder?
I'll second it, John.
Thank you. All right. So now we will move on to nominations for vice chair. So calling for vice chair nominations, first time.
I'll nominate John McLeod.
Okay. And John, will you let your name stand?
I will.
Okay. And calling for nominations for vice chair for a second time. And calling for nominations for vice chair for a third time. Seeing nobody else, can I get a motion to close nominations for vice chair?
I'll make that motion. It's Leanne.
Thanks, Leanne. And can I get somebody to second that?
I'll second Becky.
Thanks, Becky. So with no vote required, I would declare that John McLeod is the vice chairperson for the North Perth Public Library Board for 2022. Can I get somebody to move that?
I'll move that.
I'll move that.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Bernice.
I'll second it if necessary.
Thank you, Matt. And if you are in objection to that, can you let me know? Seeing nothing, we will declare that carried, and we can now pass the meeting back to Chair Terrence Ritchie.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for conducting it. Before we move on, John, did you wish to share anything before we move forward?
No, I don't actually. I did have some technical difficulties when I first logged in, so I lost my video and my sound. So I just managed to get it back. Now,
Okay. Well, just wave to us if you need us to slow down or catch up. I just would like to thank everybody. I had the opportunity to serve as your chair for 1 year, and I have to say I learned a great deal during that year. And I will say this, I really do appreciate 3 people, just not our council, which supported me during this, but I really thank John. John has been a remarkable help during this year. John and I talked the other day, and we're talking about the hours we spent in the first part of 2021 in the selection process of our interim CEO. and the challenges that we met with that. So I do appreciate the help that John gave and the good advice that Bernice gave as the former chair to me as we worked through this process this year, and as well to our new interim CEO. It has been a privilege to have the opportunity to work on a regular basis with Ellen. So I look forward to this year, and I look forward to working with John and the total group of members of our council. They're a great group. And I'll try to continue to be as transparent as possible so you know what's going on and keep you informed and involved in our council as well. So thank you very much. If you had an opportunity to check the agenda, are there any additions that you'd like to make to our agenda tonight? I'm on point 4. Okay. John, did you want to say something? Is that a wave to me?
No, I'm good, Chair.
Okay.
Good.
If that's the case, we'll need somebody to approve our agenda this evening. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. Seconded by?
Leanne, I'll second it.
Thank you, Leanne. All in favor? Thank you. And do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest tonight in any of the issues or things that we're going to be discussing? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, thank you. Please take a moment, number 6, and have a look at your previous minutes. Are there any questions or are there any alterations to our December 7th, 2021 minutes?
Just a side note, I guess, for the Friends, the donation was actually $500 from Diebels. So it was $425 from the greenery, and then Diebels put in an extra 75 of their own. So they put
Okay.
it to 500. Yeah.
So we'll make sure that correction is made to the minutes, Becky. Thank you.
Yeah.
So to change, I'm just looking for the page on that, Becky. Friends report, page 2. Halfway down.
Or if it just made a note or something, like, because I think at the time Christine had said it was roughly 400, and then she actually gave me the check after. So if you just want to make an addendum or a note or something, that's fine.
Thank you. We'll make the amendment to the minutes. Anything else that we have to change, or any additions or deletions that we should pick up on?
Just Terry.
Yes, John.
Just in terms of additions, or at least another item here. I am on the PCIN committee on behalf of the board, and I'm quite content to continue with that. But I don't think it was discussed last year, and I'd certainly be willing to leave my role if someone else is interested in that experience, I'll say. And I say that not suggesting I don't want to do it, just if someone else wants the opportunity, they're more than welcome.
Any questions or comments, or do we have to take a step back to additions and alter our approval of the agenda and add this to the agenda? Is there anybody on the board that would like to seek the role of rep as PCIN? John, if I look back at my notes, I believe last year when we nominated PCIN, and we did them for 2 years, did we not?
Yeah, I can't remember. Did we?
I thought we did all the positions. Becky became our rep for till the closing of this session of our board, and I thought you were on till the end as well. But I can double check that in my notes.
Well, if that's the case, then pardon me.
Sorry, I just thought we placed everybody 2 years. If somebody thinks I'm wrong on that, please let me know. But I will check back in our notes in our meeting when we nominated and approved all those positions. So I'll double look. At this point, though, we do need to approve our minutes from the previous meeting. Can I have somebody make that motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, John. Seconder?
Matt had his hand up there.
Oh, Matt, thank you. All in favor of the minute? Fine, thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? John has outlined one, and the PCIN. John, I think if you don't mind, I'll go back and look at my notes, and maybe Ellen, sadly, you were not with us at that point last year. So I'll go through my notes I don't know if any other members could double check that as well, and we'll see what we have in our original notes in regards to the PCIN appointment and the appointment for the Ontario Library Services rep. And I believe there was one other. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Just a quick footnote, I would think that any sub-member or who sits on a different committee would be like any other committee of council is for a 2-year term. So I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps when that was set up, that was just sort of defaulted from like a municipal standard. So any committees that we sit on, we have to redo them every 2 years during a term of council if we still wish to remain on that committee or to go to a different committee. So I don't know. I don't have the notes in front of me, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was sort of defaulted to the municipal standard. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Well, we'll check it out and we'll make sure we've got that covered. If not, we can review it at our next meeting in February. Let's go on. Any correspondence, Ellen, that we need to be updated on? Thank you, Ellen. I see she nodded no towards me, so I understand that. And I have received no correspondence well, I shouldn't say, I receive regular emails from the Ontario Library Association. Becky, do you have anything that you need to share in terms of updates?
No.
Okay, I'll just share this month's, the correspondence I received was, there's a workshop on what they call community collective purchasing for libraries. So that was the highlight for this month. So each month it's a different focus. Please turn to your financial reports. Those are the financial reports, the accounts payable for November 18th to December 15th. I don't know if you have any questions in regards to it. I have one, Ellen, on page 8. Did we double pay? Did we double pay the Mercedes dealership and the van repair? There's 2 places where we paid the exact same amount. At the very top, we paid $117.92 to the Mercedes-Benz dealership in Kitchener, and then halfway down through on our RBC Visa, we paid for a van repair $117.92. Was it the same amount twice, or was that just a?
No, it's an error. We did get refunded that whole amount, actually. There was a very large miscommunication between who was paying for that at the time. So it actually technically got triple paid because Stratford paid it as well. But we should not have been charged for it. They took Stratford's payment. So I'm going to double check that we did get credited back that money.
Okay, I know it's not a big deal, but I just thought when I caught the exact same amounts twice on the sheet, I thought there might have been an error there. If you're looking at page 8, you will also note that we placed a payment to VG Architects, which is part of our share of the architectural renderings that we shared with you at the previous meeting, which was a big chunk at $10,876. So. Any questions in regards to the expenditures of accounts payable for that period of time?
Well, I have 2 questions, Terry.
Go ahead, John.
Is a follow-up to your question there with regards to the 117. Not a lot of money, but I think it's worth asking the question considering all the money we've spent on the van. What was that for?
So this one, I believe, so there's 2 things that happened to the van in the December. One, there was a small piece of trim that was missing, and it got replaced. And I'm not sure if it's on the second page or if it's yet to be in the accounts. We did also have to pay for oil changes that month. So, but I think this is the trim piece part.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
Pricey for an oil change, but never had a Mercedes, so I don't know. The other question I had was regarding there was a couple of references, North Perth Arts and Culture, prize money $90. And there was another item there with regards to Friends sponsor photo contest for $90. Is that the same? Is that the same thing? And I guess the other question is, I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to get an idea of like, did the Friends pay for that, or did the library pay for that, or did both pay?
Well, that's a good point. There's a lot of duplication this time, and I missed that one.
I think-
The friends. Oh, you want to answer that,
Yeah.
Becky?
I think we agreed to sponsor that. So what I'm guessing is it just got moved from an account to an account. Like it was the $90 was issued, and then I think the friends sponsored it, so it probably just moved accounts. Yeah, that's the North Perth Arts Council contest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
because I know we got an email from Gary Moon, and we said we were more than happy to sponsor it. So the friends group, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Any additional questions? Okay, if there's no additional questions, I need a motion to approve the accounts payable for November 18th to December 15th, 2021.
I'll make that motion. Becky?
Becky, somebody to second that motion, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion passed. At this point, I turn the meeting over to you, Becky. I'm sorry you shared your Friends update there, but do you have any additional information in regards to the Friends program at this time?
No, we haven't met. I think it would be December was the last time we met, I think. But no, there's nothing to report.
Becky, will they return the tree program next year if possible? Is that a possibility?
I think this year and next, I'm guessing, will be the same as what it was in 2021. They just don't have the stock, the growth in the fields to be able to offer the trees to be a U-cut. So I'm sure it'll be, I think they thought about 3 years, so this year and next. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I just was wondering.
Yeah.
Any questions of Becky? Everybody's sitting there smiling at me, so I assume everybody's happy. So that's good. At this point, we'll move on to point number 11, which is our board development. At this point, I'm going to turn 11.1 over to Ellen, and she'll share about our accreditation and the completion of the process.
Thank you. So through you, Mr. Chair. So last time we met, we had received our report from our auditors recommending to the respective board that we get accredited. So they write up our report, they write up our audit with all the suggestions and everything, and then they submit it to their board. The board has accepted it, so we are officially reaccredited. We just haven't received any of the letters or anything stating it. So that'll come in a future meeting as maybe a correspondence so we can take accreditation off the agenda. But we are officially reaccredited by that board and it is on their website. So yeah, we'll get decals and updates and we'll update all of those as they come in our library spaces. So everybody knows. We'll also be doing, as per recommendations, a page on our website as well to explain a little bit more, do some advocacy on what that really means.
Well, that's exciting. Thank you again for leading us through the accreditation process. It's nice that we've completed it. I was wondering if we'd receive something that we could wear on our lapel or our chest to show that we're an accredited North Perth library system. So thank you again, Ellen.
Great job, Ellen. Thank you for doing that on our behalf. I know it was a lot of work, but we really appreciated it, and I think it was the right thing to do. So thank you for taking that on, being, so new into the process. That's awesome.
It really was my pleasure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments of Ellen in regards to the accreditation of the North Perth library system? Well, thank you so much. Ellen, I'm going to ask you to begin work on 11.2, which is the approval of the library board work plan. I asked last meeting, we suggested that we move that forward to this meeting if there were any additions or deletions or any changes we felt necessary to it. I had a couple things I had written down after going back and looking at my notes about what we were doing supposedly in 2022. So I know you've all had a chance. Ellen, I don't know if you wish to walk us through it and we can discuss it as we go through it or how you'd like to present it. So I turn it back to you.
Sure, we can do that. So last meeting, we did approve our schedule for this year. So our schedule is based on an 8-month meeting schedule. So this work plan reflects that. So these would just be normal agenda items, probably under board development in our agendas. And it just kind of walks through what we should be doing. And I don't think this has to be it. Like, I think this is really just the backbone of what we'll be doing. But we built in things we already know will happen, mostly so they don't get forgotten. I did, Leanne, add to October the fashion show as an advocacy piece. But in January, we've already accomplished these things. We've appointed our board chair and vice chair. We'll approve our library board work plan. In February, the board had deferred the evaluation of me to February, so that's due for February and would be a closed session. In March, there's a board self-evaluation scheduled. I've got a few ideas on how this can happen. It could just be through a Google Doc survey that I can send out and everyone can fill it in. We can look at the results of that. But it is a recommendation for the board to self-evaluate itself to see that we're effective and we're doing what we're supposed to do according to legislation. In April, so this is kind of a rough timeline and can move a little bit with the budget. The library board has approved our budget and council is currently reviewing capital budgets. There's a meeting tomorrow night, and wherever that lies in that municipal process, we'll put that in that meeting. April's a rough estimate. I do have quarterly statements there. I don't have year-end statements yet, so hopefully those will come in February as well. And maybe I can put that in there. I'll add year-end statements to February, hopefully. There's some advocacy. So I've spoken to staff about looking back on the year and just presenting some results and some advocacy and presenting to the community how we're accountable to them and providing them services. So I thought April was a good time to do that because we should have all of those year-end things accomplished by April. May, we're not anticipating the rubber duck race continuing, so we can remove that. This is based on 2019 work plan. So there's a few things in here that I think are hopeful in light of wherever COVID is, but I'm not sure that it even exists anymore.
No, because the was it the Rotary group that did? Yeah,
don't
they
exist,
disbanded.
right?
So yeah, I would take that. I
don't
had
need
a
that
note
for me.
Yeah, I had a note to mention that. Yeah.
I don't think we even have ducks anymore.
We have the ducks.
We have
They're
the
in the
ducks.
library.
Excellent. Okay. They're in the
So-
library. Okay.
I bumped into one of the garbage cans one day and I was like, what is in here? It was solid garbage can of ducks. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was wondering
Okay, we'll take that one out.
And we don't have a dam anymore to dump them off of.
True.
That's a good point.
Becky,
So
have we
June.
ever?
Oh, sorry.
I just was wondering, have we ever thought of an alternative for that fundraising project, or have they?
No, I think it's a matter of we were there to help them, but they sold a lot of the tickets. Like, so I think that was the conundrum we were in. Like with 4 of us on the Friends, how do you do something else to replace that with 4 of us? Spearheading the ticket sales.
Do you think we should maybe ask maybe the Optimist or the Kinsman Club? Would they be interested in, tapping into them to see if I know it brought a great deal, it brought a nice sum of money in for the Friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking we could maybe see if they would be interested in running that on our behalf.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to look back on the notes we have. I know we talked about it and whether we felt that doing the tree fundraiser was kind of somewhat of a replacement. And the Friends actually do have quite a bit of money sitting there too, which I mean never is a bad thing, but I think it's a matter of, we were raising money and we need to make sure we have something to earmark that money for. So, but I'll look back in my notes and see. I know we talked about it, so.
Well, it's just a suggestion. It wasn't something to make you feel you have to do it. I just thought it was a fun event. I attended it many times. I bought many ducks. Never had a winner, but I bought many ducks along the way. So
yeah.
Sorry. Anyone else in terms? Okay.
Actually, Terry, I have a couple of things, if it's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
What I'm wondering is, one thing is just around Ontario Public Library Week, and Canada also has a National Library Month. and that's typically in October of every year. I think it's around the second or third week of October that they typically do it. I'm thinking that it should be something that's celebrated for the services that we do and highlighted in social media and even through some reading events through the library. And I'd like to see that on the work plan too, if that's possible. What are your thoughts on that, Ellen?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite advocacy times for libraries. I think you've got it right. It's usually the second week, because each weekend of October is a different library that we celebrate. So there's usually like First Nations library too. Usually it's a bit bigger. This year we just did reading lists because we were still not really doing events. But no, I like that. I'll put it in as an advocacy event if you're okay with that, Leanne.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And I think it's a great idea to have that in the work plan. Just shows great leadership from your perspective with your staff to be advocating for that and thinking about that ahead. The other thing I had is just around, I know we just finished the accreditation, which is awesome. And I believe that's not every year. Is that correct, Ellen? It's
No.
not every year, right? Is it every
It's
2
every
years?
5.
4.
Every 4.
I think it's 5. I'll
Oh,
double
5.
check, but yeah.
I think it's 5 as well.
Okay. The only thought around that would be that it's good to map that out. Not that it's this year, and I understand it's not this year, but it's not a bad idea to have that mapped out in your annual plan, even though you're not doing it. But when that time comes, it's kind of built in. Just keep that in mind. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, and I try to hit that a little bit with June with the policies, because that's part of it. If we can keep on top of the policies, we don't have to do them like we did last year. But I'll
Yeah.
look at other elements and see if we can build some of those into the plan as well.
You might want to spread that out so it's not always in June. Like you might want to look at policy elements and I can't remember what the other elements were in the accreditation, but you might want to spread that out to another time as well. Because when you're doing accreditation, I know you're working at it for a number of months, right? Ahead of the actual, it being finished up. So, yeah, cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Leanne. Anyone else?
Bernice here.
Go ahead, Bernice.
I have, in the past, we used to do some board development. It came in a number of different forms. For instance, let's say every meeting, there were maybe, I don't want to create more work, but more like in the course of a month, Alan, if you see articles that might be of interest, that these could be included in the package so that we can just reflect on best practices in other areas or board things. And I was going through some very old notes, and I'm wondering about our board development or the board package for new members. Even if we get some reviews of things that we should be doing, even for someone like me who's been on the board for a long time, sometimes it's good to have those reminders and that sort of thing.
Here's the good news, Bernice. We talked about it at the last meeting. Ellen and her staff have completed the booklet, and it's going through kind of the revision process. I'm sorry, Ellen, I'm not trying to steal your thunder on this, but I know you worked very hard on this. And she's taken all that information through the accreditation process and put it into a package. And I know she spoke to me about going through the review process with it. And that would be one of the things that would come forward to the board in this coming new year, so they could have that package. And it would be available as we enter our transition year next year, possibly with a different library board or an alternate library board, that we'd have that package prepared for newcomers, old timers, whatever group we have there. So compliments to Ellen and her staff for putting that together. So it is coming.
Excellent. And
there are oh, sorry, go ahead.
The other thing too, in reference to what Leanne suggested, the hub is still a long-term project. Is there, and I don't know if it's even possible to have sort of something in various months saying we're going to look at this or whatever. I guess I'm keen to continue to keep it top of mind as things evolve, and I have no idea what form, but I just there's development gradually happening there, and it's a project that's going to be probably 4 or 5 years, and if we can sort of incorporate that to some degree.
Very similar to our budget quarterly, we could have a quarterly hub update. We're doing it ongoing, but we could tie that in, that every 2 months should be a hub update as part of our annual plan here.
Yeah, I like that idea.
There were two things. I went back and I went through all my notes from the year, and there were two things that we talked about that we would like to do in 2022. John suggested about 2 months ago, when we were talking about fine free, that at the end of 2022, John suggested that we review how that policy, its success, how it worked for us. So I was going to suggest that we maybe look at next November, reviewing how fine free, or approximately a year out, how has it worked for us as a North Perth library. That was one piece of business. The next piece of business was suggested by Leanne. And Leanne, I think it was last March, Leanne, you brought forward the strategic plan. We did defer the strategic plan to 2022. And we said we would begin the process of developing it. So as we entered 2023, we would have a strategic plan in place. So that is something else to consider, that we should begin the planning process of a strategic plan. I think you suggested a 3-year plan, Leanne, at that time. I have my notes from that meeting that I took that from. So that was something else that I thought we might consider adding to our annual plan. The other thing you mentioned was the hub, and I agreed that we should be reviewing it on an ongoing basis. And I know Ellen and Bernice and I were part of the hub committee, and we do have a hub update at the end. But I do believe it's important enough, and it will have a big enough impact on us that we should be discussing it regularly. There was one other item that I have on my list here, and it would involve it involves February and March. And it would deal with a personnel issue that we would have to manage. So it would go in camera, but it would dealing with our staffing. That's where I'll leave that. Any other additions, subtractions, questions you have in regards to our annual learning plan? I'm really glad people took time to think about it, and we've come back and certainly added to it.
Sorry, Bernice here.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, in terms of the strategic plan, if we put this on as an agenda item, in terms of what sort of structure would we like. Years ago, there used to be, OMAFRA used to provide a person that was neutral from outside the organization that could guide through a visioning process and assist the board with that. And particularly because of the radical changes that we've had in the last 2 years that are going to continue to impact how we do library, plus this major project. I think it might be an idea to reflect on how are we going to do the strategic plan and to maximize that process to become most effective.
Thank you. Any other comments? I can tell you, Bernice, we can also tap into the OLS, the Ontario Library Services. They offer seminars. They're brief, but they offer a variety of different resources for us in terms of developing a strategic plan. All areas they cover it, but we could tap into that and have a look at that to see where we're going to go with this. We could have a look at our previous strategic plan and look at the weaknesses there as well, and our strengths, and see what can we use from that, if there's parts of it we can use to build upon, or what we need to throw out and start over with.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at what the Ontario Library Association would have in terms of structures for a strategic plan.
Leanne, we just lost you. Can you repeat
Would
what
like
you've
to.
said?
I
We
also.
lost.
Oh, I'm still there. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I also would like to take a look as a counselor perspective about our like we have a lot of branches in this area, and there's a lot of contentious issues around that, and maybe kind of putting that, I hate to say, I like to put some of that to rest with kind of creating a strategic plan that could help us move forward as a council, as a municipality with our libraries. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not saying I have an answer. I'm just saying that I think the board needs to help grapple with that and help council move with that too. And come up with a better plan to kind of pave the road for what the library structure and system is going to look like in this municipality. It's been a long time in coming. I know it has been election issues in the past, and to me, it's still not resolved yet. And I think we need to kind of come to grips with that. So, like for instance, we have a library in Listowel and Atwood, and the new one in Moncton now. And the Atwood one is there seems to be some questions around that, and just getting a better, like a solid, firmer foundation on where we want to go. That's all. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. We're projecting to the future, so we need to be serious about what we possess and what we need to grow with. Yes. Any other questions or comments? Well, I take it Ellen is seeking our approval of the board work plan for 2022. So I need a new motion to approve our annual work plan. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I think we would make that motion as we've made those amendments to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
If
Oh,
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry. Did we want to hold it to see what the amended version would look like and approve it from that?
I think so, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ellen, could we move this forward to the February meeting for final approval?
Yeah. Is everyone okay then? We've got for February the CEO evaluation and hopefully the year-end statements for February.
I'm fine. I've met with human resources about your evaluation, so that's in progress.
Okay. There you
I'm
go.
fine with
I
that.
will make those
Yep.
changes and bring it back.
Thank you, Ellen. That was a lot to dump on you, Ellen, there while we were chatting.
That's okay.
So I'm going to turn it back to you, though. That's the nasty part. I'm going to ask you to share your COVID update, which was beautifully written. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So at the beginning of this year, we've had a lot of changes to COVID. And usually it's just a verbal update, but I really wanted to kind of snapshot where we were as the North Perth Public Library and in the services we're giving to our community. So I wrote a bit of a report up, but I did with the meaning that I wanted to show you where we were and how we got where we are now. We are currently open for curbside service in all 3 branches with some reduced hours due to some staffing issues we were having, due to need to self-isolate due to high-risk contacts and possible COVID exposure. In Perth, Stratford is also closed for curbside, but West Perth, Perth East, and St. Mary's are open at this time. Although they have severely, I know at least in Perth East, they've really severely reduced their capacity in the building. Staff were feeling very uncomfortable, just in general. And they were comfortable sharing some of those as we had our staff meeting about their discomfort about stuff, even with the enhancement of the PPE. So we have bought K9 and N95 masks for staff to wear. in the library spaces, and they wear them at all times, even in curbside within their colleagues. And that has given a great sense of comfort. And that's thanks to the municipality of North Perth. We get those generally through the COVID fund. But we are still providing a lot of those COVID services that kind of have become almost essential, such as those vaccination passports. So people can still call in over the phone. We make a passport for them, we print them out, but people can also come to the door and do it. A lot of libraries who have gone to curbside are not doing by the door. I've heard some stories where they've actually been turning away patrons and telling them to call instead. There's some cautious, that cautious. So we've kind of taken a bit of more of a medium boil approach. We are letting people come in and using computers, but they do have to pre-book so we can properly space patrons and make sure that the capacity is something that staff feel comfortable with. We're still doing our online printing that you can just send to the branch and pick up curbside, no problem. And we're still doing some of our virtual programming. So our science programs are happening. And they're very popular. They're usually fully booked up about a week and a half before they happen. And we're doing our book clubs virtually. We were really hoping to do it in person with our book clubs in January, but staff and those who participate in our programming have been very flexible and understanding with the changes we've made. We've only so far that I've heard had maybe one kind of disgruntled patron that we have gone to curbside. Most understand. And even though it's been blustery, we have people coming in and getting library materials and accessing those services. But I wanted to make sure it was written down that you guys knew the dates, and none of these decisions were made lightly. And it's kind of an ongoing assessment of where staff are at, where our community's at, where our municipality's at as well. So the municipality is closed as well to that kind of walk-in service as well. So we're aligned that way.
Thank you, Ellen. And I have to tell you, Ellen has kept me up to date almost on a daily basis as things have moved along, and informing you as well through emails. But I have to say, she has done a remarkable job keeping our staff safe as well as our patrons safe. I have given her the best advice I can. I said, you stay as safe as possible, because remember, you're the captain of the ship. And when everybody else is gone, you're the last man to leave. So please stay safe while you're there yourself. So thank you so much for everything you've done during COVID. It's a very taxing time. I appreciate that. I'll turn it back to you for branch update.
Sure. So this is kind of our year-end stats, which is always kind of fun to look at. I do want to just say, like, a big shout out to our staff this year. They have been so resilient. And one of our goals was that no one got COVID in the library, staff or patron. And we really have achieved that because of their diligence and their caution, and, you know, their flexibility in changing services. You can see even between November and December, you know, our numbers are staying pretty steady. There's some numbers that will dip and fall, like programming and maybe computer use, but generally, you know, between checkouts and renewals, they kind of balance each other out. If one dips, the other one kind of goes up. You can kind of see that across branches over November and December. We're obviously not where we were pre-COVID pandemic, but we are better than we were last year. And you'll see that in the PCIN numbers as well. And the fact
Ellen,
yeah.
Sorry to bother you, but is there an actual error in this? Because I can't believe that the membership of the Listowel Library dropped 1,200 from in a 12-month period. Is that an error from 8414 to 722039? Is that just doesn't seem to, because your other numbers seem to have maintained or strengthened along the way, but that number seems unusual to me.
Yeah, so that's mostly about database cleanup, Terry. So we were
Okay.
really clearing out those members who are inactive, and some of those criteria has changed a little bit. And it was a part of accreditation too, where you really should only keep the records of so many. So we've purged a lot of records that are inactive for 5 to 7 years plus.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I just thought it was unusual. It just didn't seem the norm.
No, no. And that probably will happen annually now. We'll be a little bit more diligent with our database cleanup.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of Ellen of the that branch data?
I have a question actually just on the page just before that, sorry, whatever it's called, the patron
Is it-
services report.
Sure.
What's the Moncton Youth Lobby meeting? Like, what was that all about?
Okay.
Just
So
curiosity more so than anything.
yeah, sure. So there's the lobby in front of the library space with some chairs, and there's a fireplace and a TV there now. And it was most of us who are here now, other than one or two people, weren't part of the discussion on how that space was going to be used.
Okay.
It was actually part of a youth retention strategy where each building was supposed to have kind of a lounge space for youth to kind of hang out. So through accreditation, we found that there was like a lot of chairs in Moncton, and some of them were meant for the lobby. And, you know, the TV went up and the fireplace went up, and it was kind of just, what is this space and who's supposed to take care of it? So we met with early on the childcare center, the arena, and Amy with programs to kind of talk about it and try to figure some things out, like how do we actually use the TV? You know, right now it's not turned on. How is that actually going to be used? Do we link into the arena? So it was just logistics about that mostly. And then we had more shutdowns, right? So it's,
Right.
we kind of take one step back and one step forward, 3 steps back, in dealing with that space and trying to make it something where people will want to sit and being prepared for when that eventuality happens, because we're still not permitted to keep those doors open between that library lobby and the arena,
Right.
because of the screening pieces, and now they're closed, right? So yeah, it was just about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ellen, I have a question regarding the New Horizons grant.
Yes.
Yeah, you were involved in that. What were we applying for?
So we're partnering with programs of the municipality to produce and give seniors access to technology. So the grant addresses, we would help with the programming piece. Hopefully they come into our library spaces and we have like 2-on-1 type of tech sessions to show seniors how to use iPads and kind of give them a long-term loan of the iPad with internet access so they can really learn and connect better with people. Programming's taking a lead on it. We're just the supporting role there, mostly with staff and kind support and putting our name there in our space.
Okay, that's great. Good proposal.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Ellen,
Yes.
would you like to do the hub up, or do you want to do your PCIN piece?
The PCIM piece is here just mostly for information to see how we kind of compare across the PCIN. Some of the charts are a little bit, you kind of have to stare at them a little bit to figure it out. But that first one is kind of the fun one. It shows kind of where we were for circulation in December. So that yellow line shows 2019 total circulation. Yeah, you can see it. The blues is digital circulation for 2021, and the orange is total circulation for 2021 across the PCIN. But the 2020, so that green line is where we were last year. So you can see, you know, we've done our advocacy. We've brought people back into the libraries across Perth. And I really just wanted to show you guys that one piece where generally we were doing a lot better this year than last. And that yellow line is 2019. So although we didn't hit that line for most months, we were getting there by the end to get numbers a little bit back to normalcy. But again, you'll probably see this chart reflect a little bit similarly this year with another drop in usage, just because curbside is probably a third of what we were doing before. And the other ones are just kind of fun numbers just to see. They don't give too much detail about specifics. And if you want the specifics, let me know and I can find them for you. But the fun numbers too are those monetary numbers, assuming each book is $20. We turned over a value of almost $2 million of materials that way. Just, yeah, right there.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Any questions about the PCIN library meetings or the data that we have right here? Okay, thank you. The last item, 12.3 on our agenda for tonight, involves the hub, which consists of Ellen, Bernice, and myself. We've been attending the hub meetings, and I'll ask Ellen to share a little bit of what is happening.
Sure. So through you, Mr. Chair, you saw in our accounts today, we did have about a $10,000 invoice. The request was that we had our $35,000 in our capital budget to support the work of the hub. And in our next accounts, you'll see that we have finished that commitment that we have made. The hub is still in draft, but generally we're happy with how the library's plans have worked.
Yes.
Until it goes to, we hope it goes to public consultation. And there's things in the works that changes responsibility of the project. The group still meets. We had a meeting yesterday where the housing piece was looked at, and we'll meet when it's relevant again. Like, we're at that kind of stage. The United Way has hired an individual to run the community renewal company and has started this year. His name is Mitchell Rhodes. So he's going to be taking more ownership over the project through the United Way's incubation of the community renewal project. So we'll keep updating you on what we know, but just know now that the library's financial commitment and through that capital line is complete.
Thank you, Ellen. Any questions of Bernice, Ellen, myself?
I don't have any questions, but is it okay if I add a couple of things there, Terry?
Sure.
I've been with my connections to the United Way, they're just to kind of give you a ballpark vision of things. It looks like it could be as soon as 4 years, maybe sooner, this will start to come together. So yeah, we're pretty excited. The next big piece will be getting grants for this building, and that will take a lot of research and grant writing. And the person that the United Way has hired will spend a great deal of their initial time doing that, and that's their specialty, is actually looking after like finding grants for this purpose. So we're pretty excited about it, and it's not that far away, really. So it's pretty exciting. Thanks.
Thank you, Leanne. Any other questions or comments in regards to the hub? Well, it is a very exciting project from what we've had the opportunity to look at, and you've had that same opportunity that Bernice, Ellen, and I have. Some of the images and the projected plans are quite interesting. At this point, other business 13. I have only one piece. I wish to tell you that Ellen hosted a lovely event at the library for Christmas. She graciously invited me to speak at the event and be part of the breakfast. Due to COVID, we were unable to meet in person, so the snacks were there. I was not. I was Zooming in, and I did a Zoom meeting with the library staff and extended the board's best wishes and appreciation for all that they have done during this last year, especially during COVID. And so the library staff were acknowledged for their hard work as well, and Ellen as well on that. So I just wanted to let you know that yes, I did speak on your behalf to the library staff and thank them for everything they've done. So, and I hope they enjoyed the snacks. I couldn't be in the room with them. They couldn't be in the room with each other, but I understand the snacks were in the staff room and they were welcome to go in and enjoy them. So I hope they did. That was my last piece of other business. Is there any other business with other members of the library board tonight?
I was just wondering, Bernice, here about the library conference. If anyone's attending, or I totally forgot about it actually until tonight. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's around that time frame.
I'm planning to attend, Bernice. Ellen, are you still planning to attend?
was the intention. I know we're gonna try to at least sign up one person and try to get to some of the sessions. Because it's online, the best sessions are usually the live ones. So it depends if you can get there usually. But that's the intention. Yeah.
Are you joining us?
I would like to if that is possible. I just actually I'll be honest with you, I just quickly looked at it, and there is a session on fines or not to fine. So there, I just find there's always a wealth of information on quite a number of areas. So I would certainly be open to joining if that's at all possible.
If anyone else is interested, please send Ellen or myself an email because it's only 3 weeks away. So we need to get registered. And the neat thing is, if we register, Ellen, I believe this is still the policy. If we register, we can have additional. It's different than a live conference, but one registration invites more than one of us to use it. Is that not correct?
I'd have to look into that, Terry, but the board price is much lower than a staff price. So it's
Yes.
really an economical conference as a board member to attend. And I
That's
think
what
that
I thought.
includes the Saturdays as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and if you're interested, please let me know, or Ellen, and we'll see what we can do that we can participate in it. So that's terrific, guys. And is there any other business at this point? Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. Sorry, my calendar is not in front of me, so I cannot make a statement about when our February date will be. If somebody has that calendar and can look at the second Tuesday, so we can record the date into our agenda here. I should have written it down. I apologize.
That will be Tuesday the 8th.
Thank you. So our next meeting will be February Tuesday the 8th at 7 o'clock. Place to be format of meeting to be determined as we move forward. Could be Zoom, it could be in person. I'm biting my tongue as I say that. So I need a motion that we bring our meeting to a close. It is 7:59. So we need a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make that motion, Becky.
Thank you. Seconded by Matt. All in favor? Thank you. Sarah, can you log us out, please?
Good night, all.
Thank you for
Night
being
all.
here tonight.
Have a good week.
Have a safe evening, guys. I hope you're not traveling. So.